Hi guys, please like, share and subscribe. And if you want full course for any actuarial subject, visit theactuarialguy.com or WhatsApp on this number. Thank you. Hello and welcome guys. In this video, I am going to talk about how to become an actuary from Institute and Faculty of Actuaries, United Kingdom. So let's start talking about what is Institute and Faculty of Actuaries. The Institute and Faculty of Actuaries is a professional body which represents and regulates actuaries in United Kingdom. So while IFoA is primarily based in United Kingdom, they are recognized globally and they're very popular in United Kingdom, India, Ireland, South Africa and Malaysia, right? These are some of the countries that they are popular in. Apart from that, a lot of people throughout Africa and Asia take up the IFoA exams. Now, in order to start writing exams or to become a member of IFoA, there is no minimum eligibility criteria. They had some criteria earlier, they've completely done away with it, right? So now you can directly become a member and start writing exams or start writing exams as a non-member. We'll talk about that in a bit, which route should you go for. Now, what are the advantages of IFoA over other actuarial bodies that you can write exams from? The first one is international recognition. So, as compared with a society like Institute of Actuaries of India, which is more India focused, or Society of Actuaries in South Africa, which is ASA, which are sort of more geolocal institutes. IFoA is pretty global. It has a global membership, and most employers throughout the globe recognize the IFoA credentials and they sort of understand them well, right? So they understand what does it mean to have passed CM1, CS1, CS2, these exams, or what does it mean to be an associate actuary, right? They are aware of the difficulty level and the kind of contents that you have gone through. So there is a wide enough recognition and you can easily move cross country and cross continent. The second advantage is that you can write exams from anywhere. So they have remote exams now. There are no centers. You write them from your home. And that's why you can take exams from anywhere. The third advantage is that the exams are not as costly as a body like Society of Actuaries. So if you compare the cost of IFoA and Society of Actuaries, there is a substantial difference, right? Of course, it would depend on whether you are availing the reduced rate or sort of economic disadvantage eligibility and all of that or not. But by and large, whether it's the full rate or the reduced rate, there is a substantial difference between the exam fee of IFoA and SOA, and SOA is much higher. The next advantage is strong legacy. So the IFoA's exam body is very big. The entire institute is very old, right? So their exams are fairly structured, they're fairly predictable, and hardly are there any mistakes in the questions or answers. That sort of stuff does not happen, which often ends up happening in case of Institute of Actuaries of India, right? So that reliability exists with IFoA. Then one of the most important advantages is that there is good study support globally. So there are a lot of coaching institutes based in India which provide training for IFoA. I also provide very exhaustive training for some of the IFoA exams, and I'm adding more and more now. And of course, in my case, there's a lot of focus on the mathematical derivation, the intuition, and all of that. And we structurally prepare for Institute and Faculty of Actuaries exams, right? So you'd get more affordable exam support as compared with SOA, because in case of SOA, a lot of times you'll have to go for that coaching actuaries material, which is very costly, right? So that is one of the advantage. Now, what are the disadvantages of IFoA? There's a very high annual membership fee. If you compare it with SOA, where there's no fee for student members, IFoA has a very high annual membership fee. So if you delay your qualification a lot, you would incur examination fees plus annual membership fee every year. So that actually compounds up, and that can even end up making IFoA as costly as SOA, if not costlier, right? So that problem exists with IFoA, that there's an annual membership fee. For fellow and associates, both IFoA and SOA have annual membership fees, but IFoA is on the higher side. Then the second disadvantage is again that the exams are significantly costlier than II, Institute of Actuaries of India. So if you're based in India, where II might be a good route, IFoA's exam costs double if you go for reduced rate, and if you're not eligible for reduced rate, then they almost cost 4 times, right? So that is a problem with IFoA. And then one of the disadvantages is that the initial exams need to be typed on Microsoft Word. Now this may or may not be a disadvantage depending on your preference, but as compared with the MCQ exams, definitely this is more challenging. One can always argue that at your workplace you'll always have to type documents in Microsoft Word and you should get used to it, but it's a slightly different ballgame typing out mathematical notations on Microsoft Word. That said, you can obviously prepare for it, and in my courses also I cover this, right? So that is your advantages and disadvantages of IFoA. Okay, now the next question is, when can you start writing the IFoA exams? So you can start at any time, and by any time I mean you can pass the exams alongside your bachelor's degree. You can start right after your bachelor's degree or along with your master's degree, or you can start while you're changing careers from another domain. So if you worked in another domain like data science or accounting for a while and now you want to move towards actuarial science, then you can start writing your exams then, right? So there is no criterion for when can you start. You can start whenever you want. The earlier you start, the easier it is to qualify. And why do I say that? It is because if you start alongside your bachelor's degree, you're still in touch with the academics. It's easier to take out time and to pass those mathematically intense exams. But once you have qualified out of your bachelor's degree and you are already working, one, you would not have enough time to prepare for exams. So a lot of people struggle to make time after their jobs, which would be very demanding, taking 8 to 9 hours a day. Then how do you make out time for the exams? And then secondly, it's challenging because you are already out of touch with math. So that also becomes kind of a challenge, right? So I would recommend start as early as possible. Now, your first exam you can either take as a member or a non-member. What does it mean to take as a member or non-member? Well, you can just think of it like non-member is a route that IFoA provides you if you want to test out what actuarial science feels like. And for non-member, there are only 2 exams which are eligible, CS1 and CM1. Those are the 2 exams that you can take as a non-member. As a member, you can take any exam of IFoA. Of course, the recommendation would be that you take CM1 or CS1 as your first exam. There are 2 reasons for it. One, you should get done with your CS and CM exams as fast as possible, as early as possible, because these tend to get stuck when you do it later, and a lot of these exams are prerequisites for further exams in your SP series, right? So it's recommended that you do CMCS first, right? And obviously doing it while you're in touch with academics at your university is a really good idea, right? But that said, it's always an option. You can either go as a member or non-member, and as a member you get to choose between multiple exams, typically CM, CS and CB. In case of non-member, you only have CM1, CS1. Should you write as a member or a non-member? You should write as a member if you're sure about actuarial science. That's a definite condition. And you're writing your first exam in the April attempt. Or if you want to take an exam other than CM1 or CS1. Let me explain this. See, what happens is your IFoA membership cycle every year is from November to October. So what would happen is that your membership would lapse on 31st of October. It would lapse, and then you would have to pay the renewal fee, right? Now, if you are taking your first exam in April, okay, then going for the member route is better, because for that year's membership you've already paid, and then you can write the April exam and the September exam. Okay, so that is why it makes sense, if you're writing in April, write as a member. But if you're writing your first exam in September, then you would probably end up paying your membership fee in, let's say, right before September. So let's say you're paying in July, August, and then you've written the September exam, and then you'll again have to renew after October, right? So that becomes a challenge. You're essentially wasting money there, right? So if you're writing your first exam in September, the non-member exam is only slightly costlier than the member exam. They charge £50 extra, and then that is the difference, right? But the membership fee, annual membership fee, is higher than that, right? So it makes sense economically to write your first exam as a non-member if you're writing in September, or if you're writing any other exams in CM1, CS1, or if you want to take multiple exams. As a member, you can take multiple exams. As a non-member, you can only take one exam. Okay, so that's how you decide between member and non-member. Now, what is the exam pathway? Let's talk about this, right? So here, if you look at this diagram, you have got first set of exams which are called as the core principles, right? Which is your CM, CS and CB exams. So there are 2 CS exams, 2 CM exams and 3 CB exams here, right? These are your foundational subjects basically. Then you have your core practices, which are your CP exams, actuarial practice, modeling practice, communication practice. All of these exams are mandatory to write. There are no options between multiple exams. You have to take all of them. These are the first 10 exams. Once you pass these exams and you have 2 years of professional and personal development, that is basically your work experience. If you have 2 years of work experience and you have passed all of these exams, you become an associate of the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries, right? And you can use the words AIA at the end of your name. So that is your associateship, right? That's the first sort of stage towards qualifying as an actuary. Even an associate actuary can be considered as an actuary, but they are not specialized. So after this, you write your specialization exams, which would be your SP and SA exams. SP exams, you have got 4 and 3, and there's also one more. There's banking exam which has been added as well. So there are a total of 8 exams. Out of these, you have to write 2 exams. You will have to choose any 2. And then with essay exams, you've got 5 options and you write one of them, right? And this you do based on your specialization, whatever you've picked, right? So we have got a couple of them: health and care, life insurance, finance and investment, general insurance. All of these are your specialization. And as I told you, now banking has also been added, right? So you do this and you have 3 years of total experience. So 2 and then 1 more year of experience here. Then you qualify as a fellow actuary. So that's how you complete your qualification. Now, what do these exams cover? Let's talk about that. So your CS1 is your basic and advanced statistics. This would cover typically slightly more than the university level elective for statistics. It would start at your random variable theory and then go all the way up till your Bayesian statistics theory. Then you have your CM1, which covers the basics of cash flow modeling and the mathematics of life insurance, right? So all of this is covered here. Then you have your CS2, which is your survival modeling exam. So you talk about how do you model mortality of people or populations, right? Then it covers introduction to time series analysis, machine learning, and basics of general insurance pricing. So all of these things are covered here. CM2 covers financial engineering and general insurance reserving, right? So these are your CM and CS exams. These are the mathematically intense exams. For each one of these exams, you have a paper A and you have a paper B. Paper A is Microsoft Word based in case of IFoA, and paper B is software based application. For CM1, CM2, paper B is MS Excel based, and for CS1, CS2, paper B is R programming based, right? So that is your CM CS exams. Now, next are your business exams, which are CB1, 2, and 3. CB1 is finance and financial accounting, CB2 is business economics, and CB3 is business awareness module. These are very easy, straightforward exams. Can be done if you are really good at exam writing. Even under 50 hours you can study for them and get done with them. If you want to study them properly, 100 hours is more than enough, right? So these are your CB1, CB2, and CB3 sort of exams. And then you have your CP series, which is CP1 is principles of actuarial practice, which are about your subjective judgment while working as an actuary. That is what it uh, covers, and how do you go about working as an actuarial professional. It's broadly guidance on that thought process, right? So that is what CP1 is broadly about. Then CP2 is the Excel modeling exam. So you do your modeling, you build models on Microsoft Excel here. And your CP3 is the communications exam. It's a advanced level English language exam with a focus on communicating with non-technical stakeholders. So how do you write actuarial reports? How do you write emails? All of those things, right? Fairly straightforward, easy exam again. CP2 and CP3 are very easy. CP1 is huge, right? So they can be sort of clubbed with other exams, CP2 and CP3. CP1 you'd probably have to take alone, and it is the biggest actuarial science exam, and it has a reputation for being notoriously difficult to qualify. Then you have your SPs and essays. You have to pass 2 SP exam and 1 essay exam, right? This I've already talked about. So now, what would be your ideal exam progression if you are starting at university? This is what I'm talking about in a lot of detail. Obviously, if you are beyond university, you can also go with a similar pathway. But here I've structured it in a way where I'm talking to students who are still at university and first or second year of their university. How do they complete the course as fast as possible? Because again, qualifying faster is a really good thing, right? If someone tells you don't do too many exams too fast, they don't know what they're talking about. There is no problem with passing more exams earlier, right? So that I can tell you with a lot of confidence. Do them as fast as possible, get done with as many during university, so that you don't have to write too many along with your job. That is what I would recommend. Now, this is a given. If you want to do well in actuarial science, if you don't want to get stuck with exams too much, CS1, CM1, CS2, CM2, these 4 exams you have to definitely get done in your university. With the first 4 semesters of your college, you get done with all 4 of these. Whatever I talk about after this is ideal, but this is bare minimum. This, in 3 or 4 years of your college, you should get done with these 4. Now, if you are someone who is really smart and dedicated, what would be the ideal path? Let me talk about that. So CS1, CM1, CS2, CM2 along with first 4 semesters of college. If you have additional bandwidth, if your college is like really light or you have less number of courses there, then along with your CS1 and CM2 exam respectively, you can add CB1 and CB2. Reason for that is very simple. CS1 and CM2 are smaller than CM1 and CS2. So these are exams you can take alongside other exams, and CB1, CB2, as I told you, are very easy to do. So you just couple these two, right? CB1 with CS1 and CB2 with CM2, or the other way around, that's also okay. But both CM2 and CB2 have an economics undertone, so I would say you couple them. If you are feeling too enthusiastic, and you can couple your CB2 exam along with maybe CS2 or CM1, then I would say you can also couple CP2 with CM2, because CP2 and CM2 have an overlap. CM2 paper B is Excel, and your CP2 is also an Excel modeling exam. So there is a good overlap there. You can take both of them together. So that is how you sort of get done with your CS, CM, CB, and hopefully your CP2 exam as well. Now, if you are pursuing a 3-year degree course, then alongside your 5th semester, you can wrap up any CM, CS, CB exams that are remaining. If by this time also you've not been able to, sort of qualify and you were doing only one exam at a time. So say you have done CS1, CM1, CS2, CM2, per semester. Then what you do is this semester you take up CB1, CB2, or you take CB1, CB2, CB3, right? You sort of get done with all of these CM, CS, CB exams by your 5th semester. That would be ideal. And then in the 6th semester, you can start studying for subject CP1, right? So that in the first couple of months of your job, you can complete CP1. You've already studied in your last semester, and then you can actually, as soon as you go to work, you can write CP1. If you are in a 4-year degree course, I would say get done with CP1 in college itself. Don't wait for your job to start. CP1 takes a good amount of effort. Get done with CP1 in your college itself. It will give you a good flavor of what it is like to work in the actuarial industry as well if you write CP1 in college. Then in the first 6 months of your job, or the second 6 months of your job, depending on whether you're coming from a 3-year course, 4-year course, whatever your exam progression has been, I would say get done with CP2 and CP3 together. These are very straightforward, easy exams to write. They'll be easy to do while you're adjusting in your job. So by this time, you've completed all this, and you are on your path to become an associate actuary as soon as you have 2 years of experience, right? And then after this, you can take up the 2 SP and 1 SA exams based on whatever area you're working in. These you can take easy because you have some time remaining now, and sort of absorb whatever you're working on at your workplace and write these exams alongside. I would say experiment with multiple roles in the industry before settling down into one role, right? Most of the people, what they do is they start working in general insurance, work in general insurance for the rest of your life. Don't do that. Sample through. Work in general insurance, your first internship maybe, then you take up a job in life insurance, sort of sample through. There will be a disadvantage in the beginning of doing this because companies won't be very happy with you hopping around, right? But from a career point of view, there's a definite advantage because you would be able to see all areas of work under the actuarial spectrum and choose whichever one is the best one for you. So I would say sample through different areas of work, right? And eventually, if you start your practice, if you worked in other areas in the past, you would be able to set up consulting for those areas as well, right? So I would say in the initial 1, 2, 3 years of your career, sample through multiple different kinds of actuarial roles. Even if you have settled onto a business, if you've selected general insurance, do reserving first, then do pricing, whatever, right? So mix and match. That's what I would recommend. Okay, now let's talk about the cost of writing exams from IFoA. So you can either be eligible for reduced rate of the exams, or you will have to pay the full rate. The eligibility for reduced rate is based on this. So for a student, it is if your own personal income is less than 8,700 pounds, which is roughly, I think, about rupees 9 lakhs. So if your own income, not what your parents are making, just your own income is less than 9 lakh rupees, then you'd be eligible for the reduced rate. Now, if you are at the reduced rate, the total cost of qualifying to fellow is about 3,31,000 rupees, which in pounds is 3,145 pounds. This is obviously a significant portion of this will be paid by your employer once you start working, right? So you'd probably only have to pay for these initial exams. If you have a personal income of higher than 900,000, which is unlikely for most students to have, at least in India, so then you will have to pay this full rate, and then the cost of fellowship will be 506,000 rupees, which is 4,800 pounds, right? So that's broadly the cost. You can see the cost of the individual exams. Apart from that, you also have to pay an annual membership fee, as I discussed earlier, and the reduced rate of the annual membership fee would be 9,174 rupees, which is 87 pounds, and the full rate will be 275 pounds, which is 29,000 rupees, which is significantly high, right? So if once you start earning and your employer is not paying for these things, this can become really costly for you. For fellows, obviously, this is substantially higher, and this is annual, right? So you have to pay it yearly before 31st December of that year. Okay, so that's all about how do you qualify as a fellow actuary from IFoA.